Well, good evening. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to our service. Tonight it's a little bit, I guess, like on a kibbutz. Here we go. That's okay. I'm not in charge here. Trust. Cantor Michelle has a cold and she has a bad cough, so she's not here tonight. So I'm dependent upon all of you to be joining in and helping me with all the singing that we do. We have a few pros. We're not playing drums, but that would have been good. Yeah, but I know that you're working on your singing and everybody else is. And I think every so often it's nice because it's a whole community comes together. We get to sing, we get to enjoy the prayers. And it is Martin Luther King weekend as well, right? I think the message where we look at this and we think about Sunday, where we hope that it's the beginning of the end with the hostages. We're going to see, and I talk about that a little bit later on. We're going to begin with the lighting of the candles. Thank you, ladies. We'll sing, you light. I'm so impressed. Last time I saw you was in Carolina. Well, that's fine. Please. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you. Well, may the Shabbat candles that we now light inspire us to see justly and gently, look honestly with kindness, and see what's holy in each other. Page 4 at the bottom of the page, we're going to continue in just a moment. Hinei ma tov, as we join together, how good and pleasant it is to be together. Hinei ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov, ya la 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 la. Hinei ma tov, ya la 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 la. Hinei ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. At the bottom of page 8, continue responsively with our family prayer. May we never take for granted the gift of Shabbat as we sit nestled in the Rocky Mountains, sharing this humble moment with family and friends. May the satisfaction of celebrating Shabbat hearten our spirits. Let Shabbat peace bring quiet to our souls. Allow this time set aside for song and prayer to bring us closer together in thoughts and deeds. Let this space we share become our place of devotion, glowing with reverence and filled with our traditions. And may the end of this week encourage us to examine our actions. Let us look ahead toward the new week, be worthy of all of God's blessings. The top of page 8, as we welcome the angels of peace, we'll join together, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And as the pilgrims approached Jerusalem, they looked up to the mountains and they cried out, "From where does my help come?" We turn to page 12 at the top of the page. We'll join together. Esa Einai. Esa Einai el Heharim me'ayin yavo ezri. Esa Einai el Heharim me'ayin yavo ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. Esa Einai el Heharim me'ayin yavo ezri. Esa Einai el Heharim me'ayin yavo ezri. On page 15, we have this wonderful reading. It talks about our covenant with God and taking care of the earth that surrounds us and the mountains and the streams. We leave it as beautiful as we saw it for the next person to come. Let's continue responsively, page 15. As we live amidst the trees, streams, and mountains of Vail, we pray for the care and healing of the earth so that present and future generations may enjoy the fruits of creation. God made a covenant with Abraham and Sarah, blessing them and their descendants throughout the generations. We teach our children to love Judaism, to honor and carry on the traditions and laws of the Torah, so our legacy may continue. God made a covenant with Moses and the Israelite people to all generations, giving our people the 10 Commandments and challenging us to choose a life of goodness. May each day be filled with the kindness, honesty, integrity, and righteous acts, so we remain filled with the promise of those covenants. Now, there's so many different tunes for Lecha Dodi, where we talk about going back to the 16th century to the town of Tzfat, which was the home and the center of mysticism. The only one I never knew was the one that Michelle does. I had to go on YouTube to find out where this came. It's the one. We don't do that without the guitar and everything else. But I think when you think about the words and how he wrote such a beautiful prayer so long ago, but he also had such an ego that he said, not only am I going to write the prayer, I'm going to put my name in the prayer. So when I wrote the prayer book and edited the book, you can see the highlighted first letter after 1, after 2, after 3. And that's where he put his name. So at the beginning of each stanza, it spells Shlomo Alkabetz. So that way, even though it happened so long ago, you can see Shin, Lamed, Mem, Hey. You want to make sure everybody knew hundreds of years later that I'm the one who wrote this prayer and it's not going to go for no other attribution. We'll join together. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shahamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmiyanu elam yuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem ultiferet l'tila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor habracha, Merosh mikedem nisucha, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, כל מציא מתוך ההפכה, רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמור עלייך חמלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, pnei Shabbat nekabela. The bottom of page 18 will rise, face the rear of the sanctuary as we greet the Sabbath bride. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzahala, toch emunei am segula, boi chala. Lecha dodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. May be seated. Psalm 92 was written as one of the psalms that was to be recited in the temple in Jerusalem on the Sabbath day, and it was known as the psalm for praise and thanksgiving and for music. We'll continue responsively, the top of page 21. It is good to give thanks to you, O Lord, to praise your name through song, to speak in the morning of your loving kindness, your faithfulness each night, music of the lute and harp, melody of the lyre, I'll sing with my delight. So we continue the bottom of page 20. Tzadika tamar yifrach ke'erez Balvanon yiske, shetulim beveit Adonai, bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu. Od yenuvun v'seva, deshenim ra'ananim Yihu lehagid ki yashar Adonai tzuri velo avla tavon. The prayer just for today, written in 1921 in the Boston Globe, it was the column called Dr. Crane Says, and we've been doing it here every Friday night or on the mountain, and every place I've been, I've always included this. I don't think another synagogue does it. And one Friday night I happened to mention that it's part of a George Harrison album with the Beatles, that in 1987 he took a few lyrics from the song and he called it Just for Today as one of the songs that he sang. So Colleen was here, our resident violinist, and she said, we can do even better. So she wrote a song with Just for Today. It's the beginning of it. And we'll be putting it more together and more. We'll bring some drums in and everything. And we'll put it together and make, I think, a real song out of it because it's such a special reading. And when we think about it and what's going on today with the fires in California, the hostages hopefully being released over the weekend, it takes on special meaning. And if there's someone who hasn't read it and would like to read it, Ernie, thank you.
Just for today, I will live one day only, forgetting yesterday and tomorrow, and not trying to solve the whole problem of life at once.
Just for today, I'll be unafraid of life and death, unafraid to enjoy the beautiful and be happy. People are as happy as they make up their minds to be.
Just for today, I will adjust myself to what is, and not try to adjust anything to suit me. If I cannot have what I like, I will try to like what I have.
Just for today, I'll be agreeable, cheerful, charitable. Do my best. Praise people for what they can do, not criticize them for what they cannot do. If I find fault, I'll forgive it and forget it. Try not to improve or regulate anybody except myself.
Just for today, I will have a plan. I may not follow it exactly, but I will have one. It will save me from worry, hurry, and indecision.
And this part's my favorite. Just for today, I will get people off my nerves, not get on theirs. I will appreciate them for what they do and what they are.
Just for today, I will not show if my feelings are hurt.
Just for today, I'll find a little time for quiet to relax, realize what life is and can be. Time to think about God and get a better perspective of myself.
Just for the day, I will look at life with fresh eyes and discover the wonder of it. I will know that as I give to the world, so the world will give to me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we continue with our call to worship as we turn in our prayer books to page 24 and rise, and continue with the Baruch Hu. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed. You may be seated. When we were putting the prayer book together, it's been some years now, we were allowed to have the Hebrew but not the English. So fortunately, the congregation in Birmingham gave us a lot of their prayer book that they had done the work, and a rabbi friend of mine in Portland, Oregon, had translated almost all of this, and we were able to adapt many of those things. But the English readings, you can't take it from somewhere else if it's already copyrighted. It had to be like just for today, really old stuff. So we had to write these. So Places and Spaces is found on page 29. This was a paper that my daughter wrote in CU Boulder, where she was taking a class, one of the Judaism classes that they have there. And they had to talk about what's the difference between the space we share and how does this become a special place of worship. So I thought, if I spent all that time proofing her essay that she was writing for her class, we're going to turn that into a prayer as well. So take a look at page 29, and we'll continue responsively. This space we share on this Shabbat Eve, may we never forget the holiness of Makom, this place, because it's here where we gather together in Beit Tefillah, a house of worship. This space we share on this Shabbat Eve, may we never forget the lessons learned in this place, because it is here we gather together in Beit Midrash, house of study. This space we share on this Shabbat Eve, may we never forget the friendships with Makom, this place, because it's here that together it's a Beit Knesset, a house of meeting. The space we share on this Shabbat Eve, may our doors always be open to the lonely that hunger for love, and greet them with a welcoming Shabbat Shalom. And this space we share on this Shabbat Eve, may we always be aware that all faiths share Makom, this place. And there's holiness in the worship as in ours. This space we share on this Shabbat Eve, always be a place where music inspires souls and warms our hearts. So we turn to page 30 for the oldest fixed prayer found within Judaism. We'll join together in the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto leolam va'ed. As we continue. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ho'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayahom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibaharta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech ushavtecha uvkumecha u'shartam leyahot al yadecha v'hayu letotafahot b'neinecha u'tavtam amzuzot beitecha u'visharecha. And that's an explanation of why we sing that, because it's really quite an odd tune. It's not more melodious or anything that you would say we'd catch on to. But this is the way it's chanted in the Torah. So because we don't read Torah every week, you can see there's little notations, musical notations as part of it. And it's from Parshat Ve'et Hanan, which we read in the summer. So usually when that portion comes up, everyone fights to say, I'll read Torah, because they already know this. And then it's easy to read that portion from the Torah. Well, let's turn to page 32, because the prayer of Micha Mocha is when the Israelites were crossing the sea, the waters closed upon them, they sang joyously, the bottom of page 32. Micha Mocha bo'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nehedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot o seifele, Nora tehilot o seifele, Malchutecha ra'uvanecha, Bokei hayam lifnei Moshe, Zeli anu v'yamru, Adonai yimloch le'olam voed. Well, it is my hope that I don't have to keep reading this prayer, which is odd to say from here. But this is when we think about the hostages. And it's now been 468 days, and how many weeks we've been reading a prayer saying that the hostages need to be released. One of the prayers that is said in Israel before Shabbat is the Hashkivenu. And they say that they do this because it says in translation, may we lie down in peace and may you stand us up in the morning in life and to spread over us the tabernacle of your wings, trying to give a little bit of safety and hope. Again, I can't imagine for this many days that those who are held captive are able to even say those words, but we're going to find out on Sunday as some begin to become released. Shomer Yisrael, guardian of Israel, we call out to you with prayer to protect the men, women, and children kidnapped by Hamas now 468 days ago, along with the members of the IDF. So may it be your will speedily and soon and this weekend to bring them out from darkness and the shadow of death, but give continued strength to the IDF to do all that must be done, to deliver them from danger and back to the loving embrace of their dear ones. May the verses of Isaiah be true. Those delivered by God will be returned. They'll enter Zion with everlasting joy. And we'll do the first verses of Hashkivenu, the top of page 34. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu lishalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu lishalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu lechayim. And on page 36, taken from the book of Exodus, in 6 days the Lord created the heavens and the earth. The seventh day he ceased from his work and rested. Vishamru, page 36. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et hashabat lasot et hashabat לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית olam. Lord, there are those in our community who are in need of healing, of body, mind, or spirit. If you have a person in your life in need of healing, please feel free in just a moment to share their name aloud as we move about the sanctuary, as we continue with Mishaberach, our prayer for healing. Page 38. Mishaberach Avotenu Mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. We offer blessings for full healing to Gail Balin, Sue Beiser, Phil Brodsky and Sonny Brodsky, Dennis Deutsch, Diane Ehrlich, Chris Eldridge, Larry Ellens, Carol Ann Finn, Barbara Goldberg, Deborah Goldman, Randy Goldman, and Mark Grabowski, Lori Hellman, Mike Herman, Karen Hirschberg, Jody Israel, Ray Ivry, Harriet Jaffe, Mary Sue Katz, and Herman Keek, Phil Krasnow, Judith Landau, Pam Lessing, Stephen Reese, Coralie Rogers, Bill Silvers, B. Sklarowitz, Kelly Sosland, Dina Stempler, Lisa Stryer, Merle Steyer, Marcy Tracy, Donna Weinstock, and Jerry Weinstock. Mishaberach imotenu mikor habracha liavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit. And let us say, Amen. Eternal God, during this difficult time, we also ask that you watch over those that are impacted by the devastating fires that continue in Southern California. Guide them towards shelter and safety as family, friends, neighbors experience such physical and emotional loss. May we turn towards each other with open homes and open hearts. Spread a blanket of security over the firefighters, the responders that still serve these communities, and grant them continued strength and courage, and may each one come home safely to those they love. So may God's voice be found within each of us to compel us to reach out to each other, find pathways to lead to hope and ultimately peace for all in need. Amen. Turn to page 40 and we'll rise for the Reader's Kaddish. Yitzgadal v'yitzgadash shemei Rabba, v'yamad yivrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayedecha beit Yisrael, bagala, bagala, uv'izman kariv imeru, amen. Yehesh me Rabba mevarach, Le'alam lameho maya, yitbarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudisha, rechu. Le'la min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma, imeru. Amen. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. As we continue the top of page 42 and then silently through page 57. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufiya gita hilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufiya Yagita hilatecha. You may be seated when you've completed the Amida. As we continue with our prayer for peace, page 56 at the bottom of the page, we'll join together. Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Uyaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Well, no one wishes Michelle a speedier recovery than me. You know, whenever visiting Washington, D.C., there's so many inspiring monuments to visit. Well, 14 years ago, one of the newer monuments was dedicated to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And its centerpiece, for those of you that have seen it, if not, you should at least view it online. The centerpiece is this large piece of granite. It stands 30 feet tall, and it's a sculpture of King. Engraved on the words, and it's so appropriate of what was written, out of a mountain of despair, a stone of hope. Well, Dr. King, during his lifetime, taught his followers that beyond the darkness of despair was the light of hope. It was a hope for a better future and a dream of freedom that was actually realized. Well, with promise of the release of some of the hostages in Gaza on Sunday, I think the words of Dr. King recalled, and they were spoken also by the prophet Jeremiah. It reminds us of the horrible events of October 7th, and in Jeremiah's time, one of the bleakest moments of Jewish history. The temple in Jerusalem was destroyed. The people were sent into exile into Babylonia, thinking that Israel was doomed and all would disappear from the world. But it was precisely at that moment of great despair that Jeremiah proclaimed, V'yesh tikva. He said, there is hope for your future, and your children will return to your land. Now we know that that hope thousands of years ago, though delayed, it was realized, and our people did return to its land. But today we live once again in a world where it's filled with anti-Semitism, and terrorism remains a constant threat to all of us. Well, this is a time I think when we need to remind ourselves that in the past that we've successfully overcome these difficult challenges. And now more than ever, we must find reasons more than ever to be hopeful. So may we better weather the darkness that we find presently, and we have to believe that there's going to be a brighter tomorrow. And we too will hear, and I think heed the words of Jeremiah when he said that there is a hope for the future. Well, what's most important, I think, from Jeremiah's lesson and also from Dr. King is that hope alone is not enough, and it never was. I believe that Dr. King and the prophet Jeremiah certainly knew, and the state of Israel has lived since October 7th, was hope is necessary, but it's not sufficient. Hope is passive, while determination is active. And hope may leave us, waiting for others to solve our problems, but determination energizes us to act in ways that'll change our lives and the lives of others. So since October 7th, it's now 467 days our worries have been great. Our sorrows are deep, and the hostages were brutally taken by Hamas. But as we read that prayer before singing Hashkivenu, we've now done it for 67 weeks. We tried to remember that when hope is linked with determination, someday the darkness will be dispelled. Well, it's hard to even imagine, and I don't think any of us could, from where did the families of the hostages derive such hope and determination? It's hard to even understand where did those being held captive find that inner strength to live just one more day? And where did they find the courage to seek light in such darkness? It's interesting, one of the answers the Israelis found is in the great sage Hillel, and he taught al tifrosh min hatzibur. He said, don't separate yourself from the community. There was a lot of division found within Israel up until October 7th, and I believe he was saying much more than, don't be a recluse. His words are an affirmation that there's strength in being part of a country and a community, and the Jewish world never gave up hope. Our community, B'nai Vail, when we've been faced and continue to face hate and anti-Semitism, I think we're enriched when we join with others. Now, when serving a greater good that's beyond ourselves, that has that uplifting impact, and it can change us and everyone that you touch around for the better. So when determination leads us to help others or involve ourselves in strengthening a community, I think we then view ourselves differently, because in addition to affecting others, such behavior causes us to feel, I think, better about who we are and about the way that we are living. So while the high holidays, and it just comes once a year, the high holidays ask us, it says to turn inward and to consider the nature of our lives during those days. Every day, now we're not talking about just the holidays now, but every day, we must strive to open wider, I think, the windows of our hearts to better respond to the world around us, to see more clearly how our deeds impact others and influence others, and especially to recognize within all of us that we have this spark of God that can make a difference. So God willing, the beginning of the release of hostages begins on Sunday. And it's our hope that the war in Gaza will come to an end and all the Israeli soldiers can return peacefully to their homes. And it's our prayer that those devastated by the fires in California, well, that they find strength and especially hope to be able to rebuild their lives. So on this Martin Luther King weekend, our prayers lead us to affirm yesh tikva, that we have to have hope. That with hope and determination, and especially with our actions, then the words of Jeremiah, there's hope for our future, and your children will return to your land. Amen. And as we welcome all of you on the East Coast, West Coast, everybody that's been watching, we're grateful to have you. It's always over 100 people that are watching, and I want everybody to stay warm and safe during these next few days. We'll have some words from the president of our congregation, Stephen Wellens.
Shabbat shalom. Rabbi, you and I have a really good partnership. So you're not going to be upset when I say this. Michelle, your job security is definitely stronger today than it was yesterday. Right. Great job filling in for Michelle, and we wish her a speedy recovery. It's interesting because this is like a really interesting weekend if you think about all the things that are going to happen over the next couple of days. And it's a country like ours, only ours, that could handle all of these things. Think about all the parents in this country who are jumping up and down that TikTok's going away, and all the teenage girls that are going to wake up Monday morning and say, oh my gosh, I don't have TikTok, and they think their life is over, as if you took Taylor Swift tickets away from them. But we'll find a way through that. We've got hostages who we've been waiting so long are going to finally get released. We have an outgoing administration and we have an incoming administration that somehow found a way to get together and get this deal done. And it just proves that America is strong when we work together, and we haven't done a lot of that lately, but I think this is an amazing thing. And then, of course, we got Martin Luther King Day, and for those of you that grew up in the South, I grew up in South Florida. My family had homes and businesses in the South. Martin Luther King was a really, really important person who died way too young. And the impact that he had in such a short life is just amazing. And I think he would look and be proud to see what we're doing here, working together to get the hostages home, a peaceful transformation of power, which will happen Monday. It happens this is the 47th time that we've done that. It's something the world can look at and understand that no matter our differences, right, left, liberal, conservative, it doesn't matter. America is strong when we stay together, and we may have differences, but we find a way to work them out. And when people think that we can't, that's when we do our best work. So thank you, President Biden. Thank you, President Trump, coming in administration for getting our hostages done. And let's just hope that they're able to somehow get home and get through this. And those families that will not have hostages coming home alive, we'll be thinking of them for the rest of our lives, for sure. This is the most difficult time that as Jews we've probably faced in decades. So hopefully we never face this again. But we have a lot to look forward to. So let's think that, as Martin Luther King say, our best days are ahead of us. Shabbat shalom, and let's have a great year.
Thank you. Thank you. The last week of February, the state of California gathers together Gold Star families. Hundreds and hundreds of them come to San Francisco to the Marine Memorial Hotel. And they asked me if I would come and be the chaplain for everyone has lost someone in war. So they need someone to be able to mingle and to be with them and to offer their different prayers. So I'll be going the last week of February to be with all of them. And at that time, Michelle will take the service alone, and we'll see if she's a rabbi. Also, we have some great stuff coming up this summer. If you're looking at your calendar, we have 3 major events, plus so much more, but we'll be on the mountain, of course, twice. And then we have the Violins of Hope, which it really started, I think, with Birmingham, because I mentioned it, and you have one in your Holocaust Museum. And then it evolved into, we can get the person who repaired it, and we can bring 4 or 5 more violins. So it's going to be an amazing program on August 14th and 15th. And we're partnering with Vail Symposium, and I think it's going to be one of the biggest things we do over the summer. Once again, we are bringing Israelis here for, 2 times. One time in February, we are going to have an event for Brothers for Life, or for our life.
Brothers for Life out of Tel Aviv, and they've got 12 soldiers coming for a healing week.
Right.
First time they're bringing 2 women who were
right.
Combat veterans who had some.
And we'll be doing something over at the hospital at the chapel where we have the wall. And then this summer, we're bringing 15 soldiers again. And that's going to be, it's always amazing. And that we'll be introducing them on the 5th of July on top of the mountain. Then they'll go out to the Molina Ranch where they'll go for really a week of counseling and help. And then we go out to the Molina Ranch for that Shabbat service. And if you haven't been to some of these events, take a look at the calendar and take a look at our newsletter. They're truly amazing. And we'll be going back to Leadville, to the temple that's up there to have a service again with Colleen and Michelle, and just many, many things that are being planned. A lot's happening between now and then, but the big events begin, I think, in the summer. And Ellie, we're grateful for putting that together for us and it's a lot of logistical planning that we're doing. And we're really appreciative, and for helping us put together the program that's coming up February 25th at the hospital.
Oh, that'll be on March 4th.
March 4th, on March 4th.
And I just want to say something. Thank you for what you do for the Gold Star families. I know this is really important, and you do it every year. And going there and representing us and being there
Thank you.
for those people who lost children or family members, it's nice that you do that. And we certainly appreciate all your efforts on their behalf.
Well, it's a privilege. It really is. And for all of you, wow, if Michelle may have come out of bed if she knew everybody was going to be here tonight. But we can get by. This is like the old days where you just daven and you get to enjoy the service and you get to enjoy each other's company. And we're grateful to have so many people that are watching us during this service. So we're going to now return to our prayer books on page 60. We'll rise. We'll continue. Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishbechot hadama, shelo samich alekenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, vanachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'ne'emar V'haya Adonai L'melech al kol ha'aretz V'yom ha'hu Yeh Adonai echad U'shemo Echad. At this moment, in memory of our loved ones who are no longer with us, we join hands in love and in remembrance. A link has been broken in the chain that bound us together, yet strong bonds of love and home hold us one to another. In solemn testimony to that unbroken faith which links the generations one to another, we call to mind those whose yahrzeit we observe this month. Gabriel Amira, Leo Aaron, David Barrison, Ida Blondie, Martin Carlsey, Rudolph Cohn, Glenn Cooper, Annette Davis, Sylvia Dietz, Enid Dinkin, Nellie Farber, Beatrice Field, Milton Finkelstein, Eddie Floman, Sarah Friedman, Rita Friedman, Samuel Galperin, Geraldine Gaynor, Joseph Gerson, Audrey Given, Carol Goodman, Barbara Golson, Rose Gross, Alfred Held, Sally Herman, Jimmy Hess, Sarah Huckman, Beverly Hoddes, Harry Holmes, Esther Kahn, Sylvia Carmen, and Earl S. Katz, Samuel B. Katz, Murray Keller, Abby Kimmel, Paul Krell, Herbert Lapkoff, Kalman Laser, Willie Lessing, Ira Lubin, Ludwig Meyer, Thelma Minko, Willeen Mitnick, Leon Mukasey, Sheila Newer, Paul Numeroff, Herman Opatowski, Edith Pascal, Daniel M. Perchik, Marla Perkel, Natalie Podrat, Cindy Polger, Alvin Putterman, William Rabinowitz, Louis Raymer, Estelle Reese, Irvina Ross Katz, Deborah Rubino, Eleanor Sachs, Harold Schneider, Bell Sigmund, Bruce Smith, George Sutton, Jack Tanchel, Melvin Tannenbaum, Faye Tillis, and Ira Waldbaum, Daniel Weingast, Bernard Weingast, Rita Weissman, Sally Wertheim, Sasha Windisch, Elaine Wolf, Anne Marie Worden, and Evelyn Singer. If anyone else is observing Yahrzeit this month. The Mourner's Kaddish can be found in our prayer books on page 64, and those who wish may join with us as we say, Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayei v'yomei v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agalav izman kari v'imramein. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam omei maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, Yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'rechu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran b'yalma v'imramein. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imramein. Oseh shalom b'imramav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imramein. May be seated. Normally, I would now say, and we will choose a song for Adon Olam, and I could step out of my comfort zone a little, and we could try. In the past we've done it to "We Shall Overcome," and I think we can make. I know we can make it work, but I'm going to need all of your help, and for Michelle to sing really loudly from her home so we can hear it here as well. Page 66. Adon Olam Asher Malach. B'terem kol yitzir nivra, leit nasa b'chef sakol, azai melech shmo nikra, azai melech shmo nikra. Now we'll do the normal one. Yacharei kichlot hakol, vado yimloch nora, Hu haya vehu hoveh, vehu yiyeh betifara, hu yiyeh betifara. Hu echad v'ein sheni, am shilo li achbira, li reshit b'li tachlit, Velo ha'oz v'ha'misra, velo ha'oz v'ha'misra. Vehu eli v'chai goali, tzur chevli b'eit sara, hu nisi umanos li, mehenat kosi, B'yom ekra, minat kosi b'yom ekra. B'yado afki ruchi, v'eti shan v'a'ira, im ruchi gaviati. Adonai li, v'lo ira, Adonai li v'lo ira. We shall overcome, we shall overcome, we shall overcome someday. For deep in my heart we shall believe, we shall overcome someday. We'll rise for a closing blessing. Adonai oz li'amo yitain, Adonai v'rechet amo v'shalom. May the Lord grant strength to his people. Bless all peoples with peace. Amen. I'm missing everyone today. Let's join together in Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, motzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Shabbat shalom. Good job. We did it.